Ten of Swords. Like many of the swords suit, the Ten of Swords does carry an unpleasant connotation, but it is also not necessarily the end of the world. When the Ten appears, however, it is a clear signal to be careful about where you put your trust. In general, when the Ten comes up in relation to a question as to whether you can believe what a person is telling you, or trust that a situation is stable, this is a pretty clear answer of no. However, try to bear in mind that whenever a door closes, another door opens. You are being guided to a situation that is better for you. Trust yourself and trust in the universe. Work. The appearance of this card may signal that your work situation is about to come to an end. Your best bet is to get your ducks in a row and think through what you will do if you do indeed lose your job, for any reason. You may have been treated badly by someone. Don't waste your time and precious energy plotting revenge. Just get on with the next phase of your life. If you're looking for work, a potential position that you'd pinned your hopes on may not come through. Above all, don't give up. Love. In relation to love questions, this is sadly not a good omen. Something about the love situation you are in is not quite right. Ask yourself a lot of questions, accept reality, don't close your eyes to the truth. You cannot force someone to love you or to behave respectfully. If you have recently met someone new, and are looking for love, keep looking. The contenders you've met so far are not who they seem to be. Finances. In terms of money, you may be facing a disappointment. This is not under any circumstances a time to gamble, but it is a time to take stock. If money has taken a downturn for you, or someone you trusted has not come through, be careful not to beat yourself up. This is not the end of the world. Try to think logically and rationally. What now? Health. Your health situation may not be as good as you had hoped. Be careful in what healer and what methods you put your trust. Don't be afraid to call on all healing energies you can think of: angels, the universe, ancestors, your higher power, God, whatever you can relate to. There is much more to life than what meets the eye, and miracles happen every day. However, you have to be sure that you are doing your part. What can you do, right now, to better your health situation? Consider alternative healing methods. Spirituality. You may finally let go of a long, deeply held spiritual belief that has actually been standing in your way. Again, you must be careful where you put your trust in terms of spiritual leaders who may seem to have your best interests at heart but who may actually be looking only to line their pockets. You make a break from the past. This is actually a good thing, although it may be somewhat painful. Tarot history. The history of the tarot is shrouded in mystery. Very little in the way of concrete information is known about its origin, although many things have been written about it. We will probably never know the truth, as fact and fiction seem to be irrevocably mixed nowadays. The tarot originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century, sometime between 1420 to 1440. Despite the fact that it is often attributed to originating from China, Egypt, India, or Morocco, to name just a few, there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Nor, as is often quoted, is there any evidence whatsoever that the tarot was brought to Europe by the Romanis. The name tarot is often attributed to being Egyptian, Hebrew, or Latin. This is not the case. The earliest names are all Italian in origin. The cards were originally called carte de triomphe. Around 1530 the word tarot began to be used to differentiate them from a new game of triumphs that was in vogue at the time. The etymology of this new word is unknown. The German variant was known as tarot and the French tarot. The symbolism for the tarot is drawn from the culture of medieval and Renaissance Europe. The tarot subjects are distinctive to European Christendom. The symbolism does not come from Egypt or any of the other exotic locales often mentioned. It is often stated that modern-day playing cards evolved from the tarot. This is not the case. Modern-day playing cards came to Europe courtesy of Islam. They were an adaptation of the Islamic Mamluk cards. They appeared quite suddenly in many different European cities between 1375 and 1378. These early cards had suits of cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks, and courts consisting of a king and two male underlings. The tarot adds the Fool, the trumps, and a set of queens to this system. Sometime before 1480, the French introduced cards with the now familiar suits of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. The Joker is not original to either the early form of modern-day cards, or to the tarot, but instead originated in the USA around 1857 and was used as a wild card in poker as well as the highest trump in euchre. It is also often stated that the Catholic and Protestant churches outlawed the tarot and all who used it in an effort to stamp out so-called heretical teachings. This is not the case. The Inquisition documented what the Church considered as evidence of heresy in great detail. The tarot was not even mentioned. After the Reformation, less controversial images for the Pope and Papess were substituted by card makers as the Church had objected to the original images. It is often said that the tarot was not used as a divination tool prior to 1781. The tarot was used as early as the 16th century to compose poems describing personality characteristics. There is historical evidence that in one case at least these verses were presented as relating to the person's fate. In other words, divination. Divinatory meanings were assigned to the tarot in Bologna in the early 1700s, and this is the first unambiguous evidence of tarot divination. Ordinary playing cards were connected with divination as early as 1487. It is not unreasonable to think that the tarot was also. The tarot has often been attributed with being a pillar of Western esoterica occultism. This is certainly not the case. The first occult writers to discuss the tarot were Court de Gabellin and the Comte de Melot in 1781. The tarot was not mentioned in any occult work for the first 350 years of its existence. The terms Major Arcana, Minor Arcana, High Priestess, and Hierophant are anachronistic when referring to the older tarot decks. The historically appropriate terms are the trumps and the fool, the suit cards, Papess or Popess, and Pope. Likewise, pentacles and wands are relatively recent substitutions for the traditional suit names of coins and staves or batons. The original Italian titles of the cards were in some cases different from the later French titles that have become familiar to us through the Tarot de Marseille and its descendants. Also, the ordering of the trumps varied considerably in Italy where the cards originated. It is not known which ordering is the earliest one. Even the number of cards in the deck varied a great deal. So care should be used in making statements about the original meaning of the cards based on the familiar titles and ordering. Many believe that the Waite-Smith Tarot is the original, standard, or most authentic tarot deck in existence. This is absolutely untrue. The Waite-Smith/Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909, not even 100 years ago, making it a relative newcomer in the almost 600-year history of the tarot. There is actually no definitive version of the tarot.